Hello everyone. I do hope to do a more involved video covering combat in the cities, including footage from when we've attacked cities, particularly where we were attacking somebody who had the city instead of just NPCs. But there was some confusion in the faction chat today about where castles are most useful if they can't defeat outer or inner city garrisons. So the thing is, it sounds wrong, but if you can't win against the inner city garrison, even if you will lose against the outer city garrison, it is better to attack that. And I'll show you why. So this is Terra Giga. She is my largest farm, AC31, with T10s, and she's also my oldest castle. She actually started in September 2020 in K72. So she's been around for a while. But I'm also free to play, particularly on my farms. And so she's not as strong comparatively to newer castles where people are willing to spend money. All that aside, when she attacked Frost Wharf, Outer City, she lost. However, even though she lost, she still killed almost 77,000 of the enemy. That's almost 77,000 troops that the next attacker didn't have to face. Now, I can't prove that this troop did any damage because it was completely wiped, so I don't get a battle log. However, this isn't the only situation in which marches get wiped. In preparation for ME, I have my strongest castle leave the Alliance and send her best battle march to a resource tile. My other castles attack it with T1 catapults to fill the infirmaries. If I ever get around to doing, I can't remember if I covered that in my current ME videos, but I do hope someday to get around to doing new ones, so that'll explain all that. Anyway, point being, those T1 catapults die, all of them. And so what I'll see is, this. I won't get any information on any kills that have been done to my main's troops. But if I look at the battle report for my main, it'll show troops killed. Or at least injured. Tiles, they don't actually die. They just go to the infirmary. So there's absolutely no reason to believe that even though this troop was thoroughly defeated, it didn't still do something to the outer city. All right. So that covers the outer city. No matter what, more than likely you are helping if you attack the outer city. Now let's look at the inner city. Something you may not be aware of is that when you attack the inner city, you want to use your best troop type, which for this particular castle is infantry. Infantry has the best boost here. And you want to put it in a catapult or siege airship. Best one you've got, upgraded as much as possible. I've actually been known, I have diamonds to spare, so I will reset all the other airships that I've done any upgrading to and put all of that ore into upgrading the siege airship. You do this because only the siege airships will reduce the inner city by more than 100. Let's take a quick look at airships. I had reset it for other reasons. As you can see, 400 base inner city destruction, and then as I upgrade it, it goes up. Whereas this one only does 100. No matter what, the infantry, cavalry, ranged, and even the troop airships will only do 100. So if you want to take down the inner city durability quickly, you want to use siege. Now, something I want to point out real quick. 160,000 kills. 100%, 160,000 kills. 100%, 160,000 kills. Every march faces 160,000 troops for this level. So when you go and look at the inner city garrison numbers, that's the number you're going to face, no matter what. Now let's look at a loss. If you lose, if you don't defeat all of those troops, you don't damage the durability. Your march has been wasted. The magicite used for no reason. Okay? So, now this one, I did 79%. I didn't like that result. You switch your lower talents to the battle, to the military end. And then I put on the attack boost, the defense boost, the troop size increase, mega march, and the time limited artifact for troop increase, which you can see got me 40,800, something like that, more troops. Still using the siege airship, I only did 94% damage. Still a loss. So then I switched to an infantry airship because this is an infantry castle, and luckily my best airship happens to be infantry. So I switched to infantry, and I was able to win, but I only reduced the durability by 100. Now, of course, that may be worth it. You know, it's still something. And with the need to reduce the durability before the outer garrison recovers, you know, every little bit helps. But not every castle is going to do that. Now, and I actually do owe my faction a small apology. That was against this level 5 city, which had a garrison of 200,000 T11s. We attacked this level 6 a short while ago. And I didn't think to check. I assumed that it would have better troops. It turns out it did not. It did have 200,000 T11s. So technically, Giga could have helped take down the inner city. On the other hand, we still did it in, I think it was 25 minutes. So her not helping didn't make a big difference. And 2, as I said, she is my biggest farm. My others all have T9s. They didn't win against the inner city level 5, no matter what I did. So they were still useless here. And I can definitely say that Giga will not be helpful against, or any of my farms, of course, against the level 7, because that has T12s. If they weren't doing well against T11s, they're not going to do any better against T12s. So, if you're not going to win against the inner city, the best thing to do is attack the outer, because it's not wasting magicite if the magicite isn't going to be used anyway. All right? Attacking the inner city when you won't win is a waste of magicite, because not winning means you don't do any damage. Attacking the outer city, even if you can't see how much damage you do, you're doing something. You're helping even a little bit. So that is the best option. Now, I will say, it will fill up your infirmary pretty damn fast. Your shrine. I've actually healed about a third of what was in here. There were 2.7 million troops in here from attacking. I did 12 attacks. I don't think they all hit because the outer city was defeated. Let's see how many actually hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so 11 of my attacks did hit before the outer city. And, you know, they were all defeats. I can't tell you how much damage I did to them. And my troops all, well, not all of them. Since the march is returned, if you look at a victory, where you can look at this, you can see that just like with Hell Fortresses, a percentage is revitalized. Which was annoying because that means even though all my troops were technically wiped out, I still had to wait for the march to return before I could send another one. If you have the direct relocates, jumping will get your march back immediately. You can also use recall, but that only works once. And then after that, some of my castles have like 30 direct relocates, so I tend to jump them. On the other hand, that's not necessarily the best strategy for a lot of people in the faction to use, because then, you know, you've got all these people jumping all over, and I don't know what that would do to the system. Anyway, so they will end up in the shrine. On the other hand, at least by this point, we are in Chronicle... Where are we? Yeah, we're in Chronicle 9. This particular castle has a maximum capacity for revival crystals of 20 million. There is a restore rate of 16,000 per minute. Okay? That means that it will completely refill in about 20.8 hours, in less than a day. And it also helps that I do have, even with those troops in there, I still have millions at home. So whether or not you employ this strategy does depend on where you're at troop-wise. I could afford to send 12 attacks and lose every single soldier. Because even if I hadn't been able to revitalize them all from the shrine, because I didn't have any wounded in there before, so it was at max. Even if I hadn't been able to do that, I still would have been able to do Hell Fortresses and Monster Hunt and the Gate and all that. If you don't have a lot of troops, then maybe you should, you know, stay home. It's really going to have to be a judgment call on yourself. You're going to have to think about this. But the main point is, if you have the troops to spare and you can't win against the inner or outer city, it is better to attack the outer city. Attacking the inner city and losing does nothing. So hopefully people will find this helpful. As usual, feel free to comment if you wish, and have fun and good luck.